Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a massive book haul because those seem to be the only kind of book hauls we do here on this channel. Go big or go home. Let's get right down to the books. And a lot of you laughed at me when I got this book because of why I got it. So I got myself a hardcover copy of Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read this yet, but I did get a proof copy from a book swap that I did with someone. And the reason why I bought this book was because I discovered it's going to be a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. And I was just like, right, I'm going to get my copy now because I do not want this book with a sticker on the cover that says Reese Witherspoon's book club pick, because those always come with a sticker. And I was like, where on this cover, like, excuse me, where on this cover are you going to put a sticker? You're going to put it here? Like the nose for these eyes? Are you going to, like, anywhere you put a sticker on this, it's going to ruin the cover, which is slaying just as it is. So I immediately went and purchased it because I feared the book sticker. Hannah from Ladette M, my good friend, was unhauling her copy of A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I wanted to read this one because it's been so hyped, and it has to do with Dracula's wives, I believe. So it's related to like vampirism, and that's really something I just love to read about. I love me some vampires. It's got red sprayed edges, and it just sounds like it's going to be my kind of book, and I really hope I like it more than Hannah did because I want to love this. So most of these are from publishers, so unless I say otherwise, please consider it a review copy, and I'll say thank you to the publishers from here on out. So this one is Ravensong by TJ Klune. It is a big hardback, and this is the Wolfsong series that TJ Klune is coming out with. This is the second book in this series, so I can't read the synopsis as I haven't read the first one, but I love the covers and I love what I have read of TJ Klune, and I'm looking forward to reading more. So I just need to hurry up and read Wolfsong, and then I can get to Ravensong. We have In Memoriam by Alice Winn. So I was really nervous about getting this book, and I wasn't interested in reading it at first because I saw that it was really popular. Everyone was loving it. All those historical fiction readers were adoring it, but it is World War II fiction, and I'm not a big World War II fiction reader because I've just read so much of it and I'm oversaturated. But there's something that's very startlingly different about this book, and that it's a queer story. There's a queer romance or relationship at the core of this World War II story, and that's just not something that I've seen that much, if I have seen ever before. So knowing that it was a queer story and knowing that everybody loved it and praised it and said it was really good is why I'm going to make it an exception to how I don't really read that much World War II fiction anymore and give this one a go. Abandon by Blake Crouch. This is your standard thriller. It's about this young woman who is going to go hiking in the mountains. There's a town that used to be called Abandon, and one day on Christmas Day, all of the people in the town disappear. Every single one of them gone, just like that, and no one knows where they are. But there was rumors that people stumbled across gold in this town, and since the disappearance, nobody has been able to find that gold. Nobody knows where it is. But then you cue in our main character. She's a young woman and she wants to go and write a report about the town of Abandon. She's been studying it for a very long time, so she goes with her dad, who is an expert on the subject, even though she's estranged from him for a very long time, and a group of people, and they go into Abandon and things go down. This, I got it and I read it immediately and I gave it 5 stars. So I'm hauling it, but I will say I absolutely head over heels loved it. And by the time this haul goes up, my wrap up of it will go up, so I'll leave a link to that below as well. The next one I'm going to talk about is one I bought for myself, and that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. I love this book. I read it in January and I had such a very good time with it, and I saw the paperback and I just wanted it. It makes it look like a summery vibe, like something you want to read in the summer and you want to chill with, and it's so much better than the other UK edition that we had. So this is the first edition of the book that I'm buying for myself, so I don't feel bad about spending money on it, even though I had 3 other editions, which I've now narrowed down to 2 other editions. So now I've got this in the US hardcover, the UK proof with the UK hardcover cover on it, and this one. And I'm happy, and my collection is complete, and I don't need any more copies of this book, but I just really loved the summer vibes that this was giving, and I wanted it for my collection and on my shelves. The Daughter of Dr Morrow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This is a either a retelling or like a continuation from the classic. One of the classics by H.G. Wells. It's about Carlotta, who is the daughter of this weird and wacky scientist, and she is kind of made to stay in the house, and that's where she lives and that's where she resides. And then Dr. Morrow's patron appears, and he kind of opens up her world to more than she thought possible. So that's what this one is about. It sounds like it's going to give me gothic spooky vibes like Silvia Moreno-Garcia often does, and I'm here for that. This is one that I got for myself. It's American Sweethearts by Adriana Herrera. This is it the third or the fourth book? It's either the third or the fourth book in the American Dreamer series. This is like an adult steamy romance series where we follow a band of friends who all have different passions, and they're all queer and they all have different relationships. And this one is following one of the few male-female romances in it, and she and him have a lot to work through. They've kind of been on and off before. They're attending a wedding of one of their previous friends from the previous books, and they kind of had a lot to work through to get where they are in their relationship. And it is a really good series. I've already read this, I've really enjoyed it, and I wanted to kind of collect the books physically for my shelves, because I think often when it comes to my steamy intense romance I tend to not have physical copies, but I really want to change that and include them in my collection, which is why I got this one. The cover is like summery holiday vibes, which it definitely is in the story, and I think I need to reread this one. We have Children of Memory by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the third book in the Children of Time series, and I have the first book but I haven't read it yet. I recently acquired that, so now I've got the third book, so I need to get myself the second book and get myself reading the series. Again, I can't give you a synopsis of this one because I haven't read the first one yet, but I know it's got something to do with science fiction and spiders. I won a giveaway. I won a giveaway for the Sevene Slip by Ashley Poston. This is her next adult romance book, and I truly know next to nothing about it. Well, actually, this sounds good. Follows an overworked book publicist with a perfectly planned future who hits a snag when she falls in love with her temporary roommate, only to discover he lives 7 years in the past. So it seems like Ashley Poston likes to do these things where it's a bit of a supernatural twist on the romance story, but also I love the idea of it being about a book publicist, because as someone who works in publishing, I love when publishing kind of bleeds into the stories that we get. So that sounds like it's going to be a nice cute romance for me. I wonder how the supernatural element's going to tie in. And then we have A Proof of the Surviving Sky by Kritika H. And I got this one because my older sister April, who I often like share sci-fi recs with, read this and she really enjoyed it, and she said it was giving her the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin vibes, and that was really all I needed to know to want to read it. So high above the jungle planet float the last refuges of humanity, and they live in these kind of like jungly entities, and there's people who can control the earth and control these plants, and if you can control these plants it's a relatively safe place to live, but if you can't and you don't have the power to do that, it's really highly dangerous. And so we're following characters who don't have the ability to do that. They're a married couple. Something happens where they need to like clear one of their names, and the reasons why this fascinated me is because it's cli-fi science fiction, so climate change science fiction, environmental, I'm always interested in that. It does have that comment in N.K. Jemisin which hooked me, but also we're following a married couple in this one, and I think books so often tend to err towards it being about a couple, unless it's literary fiction, that need to start their romance. So in fact, the fact that we're getting a fantasy book where they're already together and it's about like whether they can keep their marriage alive and things like that is just so refreshing and different. It's a chunky boy though, so I need to get my chunky girl reading boots on to get myself through this book. The next book I have here I was so excited to receive, and that's Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. This is Alexis Hall's latest fantasy book. It says 1 cursed debut, 1 exiled witch, and 1 world deal. So what I believe the story is that there's someone who's debuting into society. It's a historical fiction fantasy, and there's a curse that gets tangled up in everything, ruining their chances of finding someone to be with. I think it's sapphic, and the cover is just stunning and pink, and it's giving happiness, it's giving queerness, it's giving historical fantasy. So I'm looking forward to reading it, and I hope I'll enjoy it more than their previous fantasy endeavour. I'm also super excited to be holding in my hands there, Rosaline by Natasha Solomon. So this one, on the cover it says the greatest love story of all time was a lie, and this is telling Rosaline's side of the story. It's a Romeo and Juliet kind of reimagining, retelling. So if you know Romeo and Juliet, you'll know that Romeo, before he fell for Juliet, was all about this girl called Rosaline who he was rejected by. It describes itself as a subversive, powerful untelling of Shakespeare's best-known tale, A Fierce Forgotten Voice, Rosaline's story. Here we have A Multitude of Dreams by Maria Rutherford. And this one is a gothic fantasy YA retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Masque of Red Death, with a bloody twist to it. If you're going to retell me a spooky gothic story, I want to try it. The cover is stunning, and it's supposed to be false identities, simmering romance, and it's all set in a plague-ravaged world. Gonna give this one a go. I was kicking, screaming, crying when I received a copy of How to Save Babylon by Safiya Sinclair. This is the memoir by a poet. I've previously read her collection of poetry Cannibal, which I gave 5 stars and absolutely loved the year that I read it, the year that it came out. And this is her memoir about being a Jamaican woman. So she grew up in Jamaica, and her father was just like, no, nothing, no short skirts, no interaction with boys, very, very harsh rules. And her mother did the best that she could to bring joy to her miserable feeling children, and that was in the forms of stories, words and books. But Safiya quickly realized that she needed to escape her home and go somewhere else, and it's about her journey doing so, how she did so, and what she experienced when she broke out of that mold, that shell, that cage that she'd been in for a very long time. So it sounds like it's going to be very emotional, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I just want more memoirs by Jamaican poets. They know how to write. Forgotten on Sunday by Valerie Perrin. I recently read Freshwater for Flowers, which is also by this author, and I gave it 5 stars. I adored it, so I'm looking forward to reading more by her. This is her debut, which is translated from French into English, and it's following a young woman who's 21, and she works at a nursing home, and she's looking after a 100-year-old lady, and the 100-year-old lady is talking about her experiences with like love and war and her past, when a phone call to the retirement home shakes up everything that they've hold familiar and dear in their routines. And it does also sound a bit like it's got some of the vibes that Freshwater for Flowers had, but in a very, very different story. And I am curious about it and looking forward to it, just because I really, really loved her writing. From Hannah's Unhaul, we have The King is Dead by Benjamin Dean. This is Benjamin Dean's young adult book, so it's following the new king, and he is black and queer and only just 17, and mysterious green envelopes start to appear in court. And I also have another young adult book here, which is called Sing If You Can't Dance by Alexa Casale, and I got this one because I heard it had disability rep, and that's always something I'm eager to read. And so in this one, Vera has her life all planned out. Her dance group is going places and getting bigger and getting popular. However, she collapses on stage, and she discovers that she might have a condition where she's not going to be able to dance anymore. But as the title says, sing if you can't dance, I think she might be able to find another way to channel her creative dreams and try and adjust her expectations for life. I think this kind of story is really important because people forget that you can join the disabled community at any time and point in your life, and it's not up to you. And I think that's going to be all brought to the surface in this book. Another one I have here is A Taste of Darkness, and this is by a multitude of authors, but it was collected by Amy McCaw and Maria Kunzner, and these are, I think it's 13 gothic short stories from various authors in an anthology. So some of them here are Rosie Talbot, Melinda Salisbury, Amy McCullough, Kat Ellis and Kat Dunn, so a range of people. It sounds like it's going to be gothic, spooky, and I do enjoy a good short story collection. Even though I don't read anthologies that much anymore, I'm going to give this one a go. It is A Proof of You'd Look Better as a Ghost by Joanna Wallace, and this one is about a person who walks into a bar and he meets a woman, but he doesn't understand that everything that he's doing right now has been tailored and planned because he has fallen into the clutches of a serial killer. And it just sounds so fascinating because the serial killer is kind of a part-time serial killer while also grieving the loss of her father, and it has set her sights on Luke, and it's about what happens when their two paths cross. But I'm just fascinated by the idea of it kind of having some of the thriller elements to it, but also grief storylines to it, which is something I tend to enjoy reading, so I'm hoping it's going to entertain me. We have Koku, Akanbi and the Heart of Midnight by Maria Motureo Adebisi, and it's illustrated by Simone Douglas. This is a middle grade fantasy book which I think is inspired by Western African mythology. This sounds really cute. So we're following Koku, who is cursed with a weird name and a mysterious illness to match, and when he goes on a school trip he accidentally unleashes a demon. He thinks he's going to get detention for it, but instead he is set on an impossible quest filled with magical tribes, man-eating monsters and vengeful mermaids, and then an assassin is set on after him. So it sounds like it's going to be kind of in the likes of the Percy Jackson series, with a bit more of a black Western African mythology skew to it, and it's the first one in a series. And I was also sent for review The Woman by Kristin Hannah. So I have been reading and loving Kristin Hannah lately. She can do no wrong in my eyes, and I'm very intrigued by the concept of the three women, so I'm looking forward to getting another one of hers. And this one is set during the Vietnam War, when lots of men are being carted off to fight, and Frankie is a woman who decides that she's going to go to the war to help in whichever way that she can as well, and through that she creates and finds a bond with, I believe, two other women, so they're the three women, as they kind of do what they can to contribute to the cause and contribute to helping people. And it sounds like, again, it's very rooted in female friendship, which is something I think Kristin Hannah does wonderfully. I was sent a review copy of Wreck the Hall by Tessa Bailey. I haven't read a Tessa Bailey romance yet, but I am a big fan of Christmas stories, so I'm very much looking forward to reading this one come December. And in this one we're following two characters, Melody and Beat. I kid you not, Melody and Beat, okay? And they are disconnected from each other, but their parents used to be in a band, and Melody, so that she can have a slot on her TV show that she really wants to be part of, has promised them that they can have a slot on Christmas Eve where their parents' band will be reunited. So Melody and Beat have to work together to convince their parents to have a reunion to be on this TV screen before Christmas Eve as Melody has promised, but the parents are very reluctant because there was a big reason why the group split. Listen, if it's a Christmas story, I'm just gonna read it. I don't need more than that, but I have also heard really good things about Tessa Bailey's stories. So hopefully this will be the Christmassy, cutesy musical book that I want it to be. I am working with the Indie Book Awards once again. So the Indie Book Awards are an award that is chosen by booksellers here in the UK. They choose and select the shortlist and who wins, and it's all done by the Booksellers Association, which is wonderful because then booksellers get a say in which books they think should be winning awards as well. And the first one, and this is the young adult shortlist by the way, so the first one for the young adult shortlist is Gwen Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. So this is an Arthur and Guinevere retelling, but it's very, very gay, because although Gwen and Art are betrothed to each other, Gwen has been writing in her diaries about this other woman that she's really keen on, and she catches Art kissing the stable boy. So how are they going to deal with the fact that they're both betrothed but they both are queer and don't actually want to be together? That's what the story is in this one. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I've just seen loads of good things about Lex Croucher's books, and I've been meaning to try one for ages, so I was so happy to see this on the shortlist and to add it to my shelves. The next one on the shortlist is again another one I'm very interested in, and that is Girl, Goddess, Queen by Bea Fitzgerald. Bea Fitzgerald is a TikToker, and this one is following Hades and Persephone. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling, but what makes this very pink book unique is that Persephone chooses to go to the underworld. She doesn't get trapped, she doesn't get coerced, she chooses it for herself. I had a rainy day. And I had a gift card, so I decided to spend the last of my gift card on some books that I've been meaning to get for a very long time. All of these are ones I've already read, so I just wanted to own them for my shelves, and I hadn't before. So first of all, we have two books in a series, How to Bang a Billionaire and How to Blow It with a Billionaire by Alexis Hall. I've read these books 7,682 times. Joking. I don't know how many times I've reread these books, but let me tell you, it's been a lot. And sometimes I get the ebook copy and I open it to a random page and I just read some before I fall asleep. That's the level of love that I have for this series. I bought the first two and not the third one, which is because it's a trilogy, because I like to pretend the third one doesn't exist. This is a billionaire romance series. It's got BDSM rep, it's got gay and pansexual rep, and it's really, really good and lovely. Alexis will write some of the best steamy romances, in my opinion, if you try his steamy indie published books. These ones haven't been traditionally published, they're still the indie copies, and I love that I'm supporting him directly as an author, and I love that the next time I reread these I can reread the physical books that I'm holding in my hands. I can't believe I've loved Alexis Hall books since 2017, and this is the first time I own these on my shelves. I am unbelievably happy to have them. And then the last book I bought with my rainy day fund gift card, that was The Sonnets and the Lover's Complaint by Shakespeare. I am a big fan of Shakespeare. I've read all of his collected works, which means I've also read all of these sonnets and The Lover's Complaint already. I really like them. I think he's great at doing poetry, and I collect these Penguin classic editions. So I got myself the cloth bound hardback to add to my collection and just to add to my Shakespeare shelf. I was sent a complete series. So it's a trilogy so far, but there's a fourth book coming, and that is the Love Light Farm series by B.K. Borison. These are romance books. It starts with Love Light Farms and then it goes to Mixed Signals, and then the next one is In the Weeds. So all of these are slightly different, but I'll tell you about the first one because that's the only synopsis I've read. And in this first one, there's an influencer who's a social media influencer, and she wants to save the Christmas tree farm that she goes to regularly. She's a big fan of Christmas, and she's upset that it's going to be going bankrupt essentially. So she enters into a social media competition where if you win, you can bolster the funds for whichever business you want, but she kind of lied on the application and said that she was dating the owner of Love Light Farms, which is why she wanted to save it. She isn't, and when she is made a finalist for this competition, she ends up going there, finding the owner, who happens to be this young hot guy, and fake dating him for the social media press around saving the farm. Listen, as I've said before, Christmas books get me. I also really love fake dating. So when I heard about the first one, I just saw all the praise that this series is getting online. I'm so very happy. It's one of those series that was originally indie published and has recently been picked up by a traditional publisher. So thank you very much, Pan Macmillan, for sending me these, and I'm so excited to whiz my way through this series. Another one from a publisher to fuel my horror needs is The Reformatory by Tanariva Do. I have heard countless things about this author and how good they are at writing horror books. It's a black author as well, and in this one we are following a teenager who's very troubled, so he gets sent to the Reformatory, a school that's supposed to straighten him out, but when he's there he realizes this school is haunted, and the corridor is haunted by the ghosts of black boys who used to go there in the past and were basically murdered. So that is what this one is about. It's a chunky book. It's such a chunky book, but it's got hauntings, it's got black characters. I think I'm gonna vibe with it. And I just really appreciated being sent some wonderful books by black authors. How to Die Famous by Benjamin Dean, and this one seems to have some Hannah Montana but black vibes. So Abel is a celebrity who lives in Hollywood's limelight, and he's living that life while also secretly being an undercover journalist who is exposing the dark and dirty secrets in Hollywood, and especially intensely focused on discovering the secret that is concealing his brother's death. And so as he does this, he gets caught up in the fame, but also in the journalist inquiry into the murder of his brother, and that all gets twisted and complicated, which sounds like a really interesting way to set up a story. I've never heard of something quite like this, and so I want to give it a try and see what it can bring me. We have When Our Worlds Collided by Danielle Jawando, and I've just heard so many things about this book. It won the Jalak Prize for Young Adult Fiction, which is one of my favourite prizes to follow. Actually, I think that is like second favourite to the Women's Prize, and which is all about diverse authors, by the way, in the UK. And this one is a young adult book where these teenagers are brought together when they witness the stabbing of a 14-year-old teenager inside a busy shopping centre. So now they're all caught up in the police investigation around this, and I think this book is really important because it's highlighting knife crime over here in the UK, which is something that gets a lot of news attention but doesn't get enough larger, wider attention in the world, and it sounds like it's going to be very impactful, probably like The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas is, and very powerful. So that's why I wanted to read this one. Actually, for a long time this has been on my wish list, so thank you to the publisher for sending it to me. I also got a copy of Harbour Me by Jacqueline Woodson. I've read 2 books by Jacqueline Woodson, both adult fiction and young adult fiction, and I liked both of them, but this one is young adult fiction from her again, and in this one we're following 6 children who come together once a week to talk to each other in a classroom, and they say it's a safe space, a harbour space, and they can talk about anything that is going on in their lives, which just sounds lovely. And it's about how these conversations help them and what they do based on the advice that they get or the freedom they feel after being able to talk about their emotions, which sounds like a very healthy kind of book to be putting in the hands of teenagers, to remind them that there can be safe spaces and they can make connections and friendships that are really important. Okay, most of these are review copies, so another one is an early proof of To Cage a God by Elizabeth May, and Elizabeth May was one half of the duo that wrote Seven Devils, which I really enjoyed when I read it, and also she's written the Falconer series, which I haven't read but is very well known in the early young adult world lifestyle, you know. And this one is her next book that's coming out. This is coming out in February 2024. Yeah, it's gonna be a fantasy book. It's a fantasy book where they need to like infiltrate another nation and things like that. It just sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun, and what I liked about Seven Devils most of all was how fun it was, while also touching on other things, so hopefully this will pack the same punch for me. So this is The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. It was sent to me unsolicited, but honestly, Titan Books, you can send me whatever you want because their books sound so great. They rule the horror genre, honestly. This is a retelling of La Llorona, which is a Mexican demon folktale, and in this one we're following a woman who doesn't know who she is anymore. Is she a mother? Is she a daughter? Is she a friend? Is she a wife? She just feels so lost in all of these identities, and every now and again she sees a ghostly image of a woman in white crying. So that is what this one is, and it just sounds like it's going to be a retelling of a myth that I really enjoy. This is Only for the Holidays by Abiola Bello, and this one is a holiday rom-com. So there's a winter ball that's being held, and these 2 characters don't particularly see eye to eye until they realize they both have something to gain by faking a relationship for the holidays. But it's only for the holidays, or will real emotions eventually get in the way? Christmas is coming to me with all the Christmas rom-com books I'm being sent. I don't want it to stop. I'm having the best time, and I really am so happy to see like a black Christmas romance. I'm looking forward to reading that. But Wednesday's Child by Yiyun Lee. This is a gorgeous cover, and it's a short story collection, and I am a big fan of reading short story collections. So these short stories touch on subjects like loss and grief, aging, alienation, and all those contemporary themes that I tend to read about. A lot of identity relations in here as well, so I thought it's probably one I'm going to enjoy. I feel like with short story collections it's really hard to tell what they're about before you read them, but I'm hoping it'll be just as good as some other short story collections I've read. Oh, I was so ecstatic when I opened this book mail, and that's All the Fighting Parts by Hannah V. Sawyer. So this is a novel in verse, and you know me, I love a good novel in verse, and in this one it's actually about a very serious topic because she is a black teenager who gets sexually abused by the pastor of a church, and she is someone who used to be really loud. She used to really use her voice and be boisterous and is well known for that, but as soon as this happens to her she stops talking, and everybody wonders why someone so extroverted could suddenly go so quiet. And when the pastor is taken down for different reasons, different corruption reasons, she starts to realize that she needs to fight back, and it's about her trying to use her voice to fight back. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be powerful. It also sounds like it's touching on something quite important because there's been lots of talks or lots of knowledge about safekeeping in the UK in terms of churches and powers and positions of power, and yeah, I love a good novel in verse, so I think this is going to be emotional and ruin me, but also just be one I'm going to appreciate a lot. A horror book. We have Schrader's Cord by Scott Leeds. This is a book about some teenagers and one teenage boy in particular. When his father passes away, he inherits the record store that his father used to own, his estranged father used to own, and also some particular records that it's said they can open the gates to the underworld, which of course he and his friends don't believe. So when they play these records one night, they unleash a whole slew of demons, as well as the gates to the underworld are opened, and along with the ghost of his estranged father and the teenagers that he's with, they need to do their best to return as many of them as possible and find out how to close that gate again. It sounds like it's going to be one of those books with lots of musical pop cultures included, but also horror vibes. And Like Most Hateful by Hailey Piper is another horror book, and in this one Storm comes to this village where Olivia lives, and this Storm brings with it a monster on its back as well. But Olivia, who's trying to escape the town and escape this monster that seems to be controlling the minds of the people in the town, she is going to save her friend before she escapes, and it's about a test of their friendship as well as needing to run away and escape this particular monster. I love it when friendship is at the front of a book, and it sounds like it's going to be horror while giving me that friendship, which is always nice for me to read. I have another novel in verse, which is An Impossible Thing to Say by Arya Shahi, and this novel in verse sounds like it's again just going to be everything I particularly like. It's described as the poet X meets a very large expanse of sea, and it's following a Persian American teenager who's navigating the space of his family in the wake of 9/11, navigating a first crush, and also the role of language in defining who we are, which are all themes that just really are buzzwords for me. And again, it's a novel in verse, so I just really wanted to try it. We have The Beholders by Hester Musson. This is a historical gothic fiction debut, which comes out on the 18th of January, and this one is best described as an unusual servant, a puzzling mistress, a powerful master, and a house of lives. And sometimes houses are haunted by the living. Doesn't that just sound utterly delicious? I love a good gothic story. I love it when it's set in a mansion or a really big house. Those are kind of my favourite settings for horror books, or for gothic books I should say, so I'm looking forward to trying this one. Last but not least, we have one more Christmas book, and that is The Christmas Book Club by Sarah Morgan. It sounds so sweet, it sounds so lovely. It sounds like there's a book club and they're getting together around Christmas time. It's composed of these women, and these women are talking about their lives and reading a book. And this is about Hattie, who recently moves to this town where the book club runs, and she is kind of running about trying to run an inn, but also being a single mother, and she feels like she's at her breaking point. And when she joins the book club, maybe she'll find some of the love and support that she really needs to help her through everything. It just sounds lovely. Lovely and Christmassy and heartwarming, and that is what I want in a nice Christmas book. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I've recently hauled in lately. Please let me know in the comment section down below what was the last book you bought, received, borrowed, or acquired. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!